I address you today on behalf of Her Majesty's Government of Gibraltar and the people of Gibraltar. 50 years after our first Chief Minister, Sir Joshua Hassan, and Mr. Peter Isola first addressed the Committee of 24 on Decolonisation. 50 years since we started our struggle to achieve delisting from the list of non-self-governing territories. Today, I'm here accompanied by the Deputy Chief Minister of Gibraltar, Dr. Joseph Garcia, and the Minister for Justice and Education, Mr. Gilbert Likudi QC. With us are also 6 pupils of our senior schools who have been selected for their interest in the importance of the work of the United Nations. In that first address to the C24 in 1963, Gibraltar's representatives told the committee that Gibraltar had then not yet achieved full self-government, but that this was, however, the aim of Gibraltarian politicians and was an aim which had been accepted by the British government. End quote. Well, 50 years on, I'm here to tell you that Gibraltar has now achieved a status under our 2006 Constitution, which we believe is one potential modality of a status granting us a full measure of self-government short of independence. We delivered to your committee some years ago already a copy of that Constitution. I submit it is now the duty of the C24 and of this committee to revert to us and advise whether you consider that a full measure of self-government short of independence has been achieved. If it has, then we should be delisted as having fulfilled the 4th option for decolonisation available to the peoples of non-self-governing territories as provided for in General Assembly Resolution 2625, Roman 25 of the 24th of October 1970. If our Constitution does not, in your view or the view of the C24, grant us a full measure of self-government short of independence, then we ask you to tell us where you consider that the deficiencies lie in our Constitution so that we can engage with the United Kingdom to address any such shortcomings. What makes no sense, Mr. Chairman, is a continued deafening silence by the C24 and a continued reference to a consensus decision between the United Kingdom and Spain, which does nothing to advance our progress towards decolonisation. What makes even less sense are some of the statements which have been attributed to His Excellency Rodolfo Reyes Rodriguez, the Vice Chairman of the C24, that he has stated that some colonial situations are defined as special and particular because they involved sovereignty disputes, exactly as Spain has contended today. Mr. Chairman, that statement is based on the entirely false and unsustainable premise that different principles could apply to the decolonisation of the people of non-self-governing territories simply because a neighbouring state might stake a claim to the territory in question. There is no trace in any one of the resolutions of the United Nations to such nonsense. There is no customary rule of international law that, however stretched, might give rise to such a principle. What there is, however, is a concerted effort by Spain and Argentina working closely together as the 2 states that are staking claims to Gibraltar and the Falklands respectively to try to create such a doctrine in order to avoid the application to our people of the inalienable right of self-determination. So no surprise in seeing that the Spanish ambassador welcomed Senor Rodriguez's remarks. It appears that they subscribe to the established doctrine that if you repeat a lie often enough, it becomes the truth. You, Mr. Chairman, and this committee must guard against that, because it is only through giving effect to the wishes and aspirations of the people of Gibraltar that our territory will ever be decolonised. Indeed, Mr. Chairman, for the past 50 years, the people of Gibraltar have been subject to the most terrible regime of bullying by successive Spanish governments in dictatorship and in democracy. In fact, except for some periods of enlightenment, the face of Spain that we see now is not very different to that which we saw when the notorious dictator General Franco was in power in Spain. We are experiencing lengthy queues at the frontier between Gibraltar and Spain, sometimes up to 8 hours, created by Madrid at their political whim. As their ministers have recently accepted, these queues are designed to attempt to choke our economy and in that way to try to get Gibraltarians to negotiate our sovereignty. We are suffering incursions by Spanish state vessels into waters which the United Nations Conventions on the Law of the Seas of 1958 and 1982 record as being exclusively British. And in June this year, Shots have been fired by Spanish Guardia Civil officers at a Gibraltarian using a jet ski craft for pleasure in our waters. The ambassador forgot to mention that in his intervention a moment ago. Indeed, Mr. Chairman, this year there is a new and shocking development which will cause you serious concern and which you will want to take up with the Kingdom of Spain. Whole sectors of the Spanish government and media have launched headlong into a concerted and unrelenting campaign of lies designed to demonize the Gibraltarians. The target audience is the Spanish people who are caught at a particularly vulnerable time as they struggle with record unemployment, economic difficulties, and a constant stream of allegations of corruption affecting the most senior politicians in their government. All these are, of course, Mr. Chairman, the historically recognizable ingredients of any offensive to defame and target a minority population. Since the beginning of the propaganda onslaught in July this year, Spanish citizens have been exposed to literally thousands of untrue official statements, press articles, and broadcasts denigrating the people of Gibraltar. Already there have been cases of damage and arson to property belonging to Gibraltarians in Spain, and a rift has been created between ordinary people on both sides of the frontier, something that did not happen even in the 1960s under the dictator General Franco. The worst and most harrowing manifestation of the effect of this campaign of hatred against the people of Gibraltar has been a video posted on YouTube of Spanish teenagers acting out a play in which 3 dressed as Guardia Civil officers relish with glee a military invasion of our territory and the assassination of 3 young Gibraltarians. That is the effect of the campaign of incitement to hatred through lies which has dominated the summer months. Economic sanctions, physical restrictions at our frontier, police and military invasions of our territorial sea, shots fired at innocent Gibraltarians, arson and damage against the property of Gibraltarians in Spain. In Europe, in the 21st century, and by a candidate to membership of the Security Council. Yet when you look at the reality of the Gibraltarians as a people, as Sir Joshua Hassan told you 50 years ago, we, and I quote, ask for nothing except to be allowed to live our lives the way we want to live them without interference from outside, in friendliness with all peoples and in cooperation with our immediate neighbors, for what I assure you can only be our mutual good socially, culturally, economically, and in every other way, end quote. We already provide approximately 10,000 jobs in our economy for cross-frontier workers from Spain. If the current Spanish government spent 1/10 of the time that it spends attacking us, instead working with us, we could easily envisage increasing those numbers. Nonetheless, and despite that background of incitement to hatred against our people, the government of Gibraltar has remained steadfast in offering to engage in dialogue with the government of the Kingdom of Spain on all issues which are not related to sovereignty and which would be in the interests of the people who live on both sides of the frontier. The United Kingdom and Gibraltar governments have both repeatedly restated our strong commitments to the Trilateral Forum for Dialogue established by the 3 governments of the United Kingdom, Spain, and Gibraltar in 2004, and which this committee welcomed and encouraged. The present Spanish government of the Partido Popular have unilaterally turned their backs on that forum and want to unravel the agreements reached under it. In light of that, in April 2012, the UK and Gibraltar governments proposed that a parallel process of ad hoc contacts should take place to try to address areas of potential mutual benefit and understanding, but not any discussions of the sovereignty or future of Gibraltar. This proposal was not accepted by the Spanish Foreign Minister, Señor Margallo, until September of this year, a year and a half later. We trust that these contacts will be established soon in order to address matters that may deliver benefit to the people of our region. What will never happen will be talks between the United Kingdom and Spain under the Brussels process to negotiate a transfer of sovereignty to Spain. The United Kingdom has made clear it will not transfer the sovereignty of Gibraltar without the consent of the people of Gibraltar, and it will not even enter into a process of negotiation over the sovereignty of Gibraltar without the consent of the people of Gibraltar. So in order to avoid Spain continuing to sound like a scratch record every year, let me make this categorically clear. The people of Gibraltar are never going to consent to the United Kingdom discussing or negotiating any transfer of our sovereignty to Spain. Full stop. It's time for Spain to move on, to tackle the real problems facing the Spanish people, and to stop chasing quixotic windmills. If Spain wants to continue the intellectual argument about the sovereignty of the land she lost 309 years ago, let's do it in the relevant and objective international tribunals with competence to determine these matters. Gibraltar will win in any such fair and just litigation in which it is represented.
Agradezco al señor.
I thank Mr. Picardo for his statement, and I invite him to conclude his statement with one sentence.
Go to the last line of my speech and leave delegates to read the rest. Past, present, and future, the message has been, is, and will be clear. We will never give up our right to determine the political future of our nation, and we will play every card in our hands to preserve it. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have and refer delegates to the part I have not been able to read.